Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, yes, it's me, it's the MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact, for the TNAIW channel. This is episode 69, and alongside me, as always, are the Jesse Goddard and DJ Z to my Robbie E, Max and Jeff.
No, I'm taking it.
That was beautiful, Craig. Beautiful. So Craig taking the lead there. As you know, if you're a continuous listener to our show, this is his last formal one with us as far as every Saturday night here live on Twitch. He will be moving to a BST time show, which is awesome as we try to expand into our UK market, as the kids say.
Craig is moving on up like the goddamn
Yes.
Bigger and better
it's a bigger and better things. But that will be called Talking Bloody Nonsense. We'll give you more information as we go throughout the show. And it'll be a fun one. As he said, it's episode 69. So makes a lot of sense since we're dropping you, Craig. 69 is usually a two-man show. Anyway, so it's fitting. Good times. But I digress. What I'm to transition for no apparent reason. I'm wearing my DJ Z. Holy shit, DJ Too Large shirt for a reason. I'd wear it a lot, yes. But IPWF returns December 18th, live from Kentucky. So who knows what we will see? It's going to be a good time. I'm excited for it. You never know what you're going to get, especially live with them. And they're plugging away on it, so it should be something special. I doubt it's going to be anything, monumental, but it'll be enjoyable if you like that kind of stuff. December 18th, live on their YouTube, and is it on Fight? Do they still do it on Fight? I should know these things.
Yeah, Fight Plus and YouTube.
Yeah, so look out for that. It should be a good time. But Craig, why don't you hit us for old time's sake with a little bit of numbers don't lie?
Yeah, so as you can see just below Max, the numbers that we've reached this week, some up, some down, but heading in the right direction for sure. Maybe Jeff can give us a little more detail on that, but it's up in the right direction in most places.
Yeah, for sure. We continuously grow on Twitch, which we thank you one by one, episode by episode. As I said, when we hit episode 100, we'll have 100 Twitch followers, so subscribe, so it'll be nice. But speaking of that, in the community that we'd like to think that we've grown, we want to talk about you, the YouTube commenters. If you audio listeners want to comment as well, feel free to write us at TNAIW channel. We have a great Twitter handler now, AO. Shout out to AO, who's killing it. Let's see. So here we go. It'll make it a little easier. I did it as a video, so they might go fast, but we'll figure it out. There we go. All right, let's start this one right here. This comes from Hakeem Fullerton, our buddy Hakeem. I had one last week as well. 2021 has been the most transformative year in modern Impact history since 2018 for many of headline-grabbing news involving their partnerships or who's showing up on the product to amount of good work the company has done behind the cameras and in front of the camera. Hey, some Impact praise. Kudos, and I agree.
I agree as well.
Next up, Naris, forgive me if I'm pronouncing the song, Naris Shukri, I think. Great job, guys. Good to see another Impact podcast. Hey, 2 for 2 on the positive vibes. Yeah, let's see. There are some wrestlers on Impact roster that just aren't that... Okay, we're 2 out of 3 ain't bad. The best lamest 20, a avid commenter of ours. There are some wrestlers on the Impact roster that just aren't that good, and with all the releases, they can easily sign much better talent. All love here. Obviously, you watch the product, and as well as ours, so thank you. So, yeah, I'm actually interested. I'd like to know who they...
Well, let's be realistic, though. Your entire roster can't be Rock, Austin's, and Triple H's. You need some people who maybe not necessarily, not bad people, but people who aren't going to come off looking like superstars. Even if you look at AEW, as people talk about how amazing they are, there's people in AEW whose record is like 2-57. Right. Like, they're just there to get smashed. So you're going to have some guys who aren't supposed to look super impressive in the ring because it's not their job. Their job is to make other people look better. So I think it's hard to tell sometimes who's good and who's not, because like if you looked at Hugh Morris, if you think of him back with Goldberg, if you go back to watch the documentary where Goldberg talks about him wrestling Hugh and how Hugh basically like kind of guided him through. Although Hugh was great in the ring, never once was I like, man, that Hugh Morris guy. I think he's a threat to the title. He's so amazing. He was just good at making other people look good, so they put him in those things. So I wonder if it's that. The people on the roster that I would say aren't excellent.
I don't know. I don't think. Let's not get too deep into it. Let's because we got a few other ones. But
the only one I can think of off the top of my head is like Brandy Loren is kind of green, like, but she's looking a lot better. But outside of that, their men's division, talent-wise, I think it's incredibly talented. There may be people you don't think are stars, but they still have a lot of talent.
All right. Well, best lamest 20. Thank you. Keep them coming. Always love the different perspectives. 2021 was a year. This is Hakeem again. Thank you, buddy. 2021 was a year that saw names like Matt Cardona, Jay White, Suzuki, Savannah Evans, Taylor Wilde, Private Party, Omega, Kaz and Daniels, Kojima, Matt Hardy, Finjuice, Drama King, Ziggy Dice, Rachel Ellering, Chelsea Green, and Thunder Rosa, among many others, competing for Impact Wrestling. Enough said. Hey, back on the positive. I agree. I think our roster is jam-packed. I think there's different levels to it, and I think there's no one on there now that I'm just like, meh. So, happy with that. I think we should have one or two more. I think this is Cider Blurry 25. I think with AEW having a huge roster and ROH releasing all their talents, Impact is really the only option some of these released wrestlers can go. I think there's some debate on that, but we'll see. I think there's a few reasons that I think there's other places, but here we go. Cider Blurry 25. Is that again, or is that another? I think the distribution deal that some fans were talking about is probably the Anthem buying a film distributor company to add 3,000 movies to their library. I don't think it helps Impact when it comes to making Access TV more available. Yeah, I don't know. There was you haven't heard anything since.
So if they add 3,000 movies to their library and on Access TV is movies that people watch, it'll get people to watch it. Because let's be realistic, if you have Access and you're not an Impact fan, you're not going to flip through and think, oh my gosh, I got to watch old rockers from the 80s talk about their
right.
life. Like, but if you get a movie, you're like, oh, this is cool. You may continue to check that channel and then may see the ads and watch. So I think that could definitely benefit them for growing Access's viewership within the people that already have the channel who may not watch.
Good points. We have a lot of that kind of talk coming up in our top 5 hot topics. Really excited about that. But we finally have the return of the Power Rankings. And if you're just tuning in on Twitch, just a reminder, this is Craig's last show on this episode, on this I want to say channel and I want to say episode on this show. It just sounded weird. I want to say show twice. Anyways, anywho, Craig, with
this is his last episode.
Thank you. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Treehouse. Craig, why don't you take us out to Power Rankings for the last time, my friend?
Let's see if I'm disappointed with these Power Rankings.
Yeah. So it's Power Rankings from this week's episode of Impact on Access TV. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know either way, and we know that you will. Who's at number 1? Who's at number 10? Let's find out.
Hi there, this is Tata with 3 Years of Wrestling, and here's your TNAIW Top 10 for this week. Number 10, Knockout World Champion Mickey James. Number 9, the Soldiers Willie Mack and Rich Swann. Number 8, Knockouts Tag Team Champions The Inspiration. Number 7, X Division Champion Trey Miguel. Number 6, Rachel Ellering. Number 5, Thirst Trap Chris Sabin. Number 4, Eddie Edwards. Number 3, the debuting Jonah. Number 2, number 1 contenders W. Morrissey and Matt Cardona. Number 1, Impact World Champion Moose. That was your top 10 Impact Wrestlers of the week. Do you agree? Let us know at TNAIW channel. Back to you guys.
Do you agree?
These ratings get my stamp of approval.
Hey.
Because our champion was number 1 overall.
I think this is one of the... Oh, no, Jordan didn't make it, but or in the Good Brothers, but most of the other champions.
But for the longest time, the Kenny Omega hatred kept him off the top 10 when the man was the world champion.
Not for me. But with that being said, as Craig mentioned, at TNAIW channel, like we said, AO's taking over that and killing it. You can see him in the chat right here as well. Every Saturday, usually here as well. So go socialize with them. We're going to go right to hot topics. But if you want to join the Power Rankings committee and make a difference instead of just yell at us, write us, join it. It costs nothing. It takes nothing but 30 seconds. It's a good time. Camaraderie. Yeah. All right. Unity? Equality. That's what it was. Equality. All right, Craig. Let's go.
All right, let's kick off these hot topics. Going in at number 1 is Impact on Access TV. We had Matt Cardona kicking off the show before a little scrap between him and Moose, then Morrissey and Eddie. Then we had Chris Sabin defeating the Drama King in a very confusing segment for me. Didn't just with Deonna getting involved and on commentary. Jonah just destroys Jay Vidal, which Rachel Ellering defeated Savannah Evans. William Mack and Rich Swann defeat Violent by Design before VBD attack Mack and Swann afterwards, saved by Heath and Rhino. And in the main event, Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona defeat Moose and W. Morrissey before Morrissey turns on Moose. And at the end of that, after Impact went off air, Scott D'Amore announced at Hard to Kill it will be Matt Cardona versus W. Morrissey versus Moose for the Impact World Championship. Thoughts, feelings on this show? Let's go for it. Jeff starts off.
All right, I'm excited about that. All right.
Would you rather go second?
No, I'm excited.
Okay. I thought maybe.
Wait, do you want to go first? You go first. Yeah. Okay.
So first off, not Impact related, but Big E is doing the intro for Iowa football in the Big Ten Championship. Thought that was interesting. Go wrestling. So overall, I liked the episode. I thought it was really good. The reason why I wanted to go first is because I really want to talk about my favorite part of the episode, which I have a feeling is going to be nobody else's, and clearly wasn't Craig's, was the Chris Sabin, Matthew Rehwoldt match, because Deonna was on commentary, and they talked a lot about her on commentary, and liked that a lot because it reminded me of something that WWE used to do, WCW, like back in the Attitude days, where like the Monday Night Wars, where they would have somebody on commentary who wasn't like going to be in the match or wasn't going to be like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to be wrestling this person, so I'm down here. Like, they're separate from the match, and they kind of use the match as almost a backdrop to be like, hey, let's talk about you in a way. And I really like that. I thought it was really well done. The match just seemed as kind of like, I don't want to say filler, but it's kind of seemed to be the backdrop of them discussing like Deonna, what she's doing, what her plans are. And it was just a different way to do it other than, hey, let's go to the back and hear Deonna talk about herself. So I really liked that as a like as a way to do things, and I think I was happy Impact did it, and I hope they do more of it with other matches, because I just think it's a really interesting thing. So that's where I want to go first. So we really want to talk about that. I know Craig hated it. I can already see him rolling his eyes. Whatever.
No
Freaking
more,
Jim.
no more of that.
But no, so I liked that. But overall, I thought it was a good episode. I thought that the debut, my brain just stopped working about what his name is. Jonah, thank you. I kept thinking the whale swallowed Jonah. So I thought he looked good. I'm excited. You know the Bible story of Jonah and the whale? Okay. But I think he looked good. I'm interested to see where he goes. Like, is he someone that instantly gets like shot up? Do they maybe possibly stick him in the X division for a little while? Does he maybe go to after the digital media? Like, where does he go right away? Because he definitely has some star power with him. I think he is a big signing, so I'm interested to see kind of what happens there. But overall, I thought it was a good episode. I'm really excited. I mean, long term, I'm really excited for this triple threat. I also really liked the Matt Cardona's intro, like when he was giving out his when he was talking at the beginning with his promo and Moose coming in. I thought that was really well done as well. Kind of a little like you kind of had a feeling Morrissey was going to come down, and it's Eddie's going to come for the save. But I still thought it was really well done. So overall, I really liked the episode. I thought it was good. But I just want to talk about primarily the Deonna thing, because that was I was super happy when they did that. I enjoyed that. So
well, I'll address that first. I'm in between you guys. I loved it for everything you just said, because look, what it does all in one weird segment, as it for me it turned out to be, which I agree with Craig in a little bit. But first, for every reason you said is correct. Deonna needs to continue her story. We can't put her on a farm. We can't put her backstage. Can we contractually obligate her to be ringside and have to do commentary? Yes. So for the character they're trying to force on her, or the illusion of mysteriousness that she has, or where she's been training, like she's been in the fucking Heart Dungeon or something. National landmark now, by the way. So good for them.
Canadian national landmark? Oh, I know it's not a U.S. national landmark.
That would be hard. I mean,
take one of things over as a country.
Everywhere, aren't we?
Maybe we just took over the Heart Dungeon.
So yeah. They're trying to give her this. I don't want to say AJ no one or one only one or whatever the damn era was when he was emo AJ, but it feels like that. So we'll see where that's going. But at the same time, this gets Drama King on television. It lets them do another Last Week on Impact Wrestling or Last Week on ImpactWrestling.com segment, which I really love those little things. It's ways to put together matches with names that are familiar but have nothing to go off of. And I dig that, because you could say, well, why the fuck are these two wrestling? Well, Last Week on ImpactWrestling.com, Matthew Raywalt and Saban got into it over his t-shirt, or whatever the hell the storyline was there. So it's a different way to do it. I think the issue was the components should all work. They did not in this formula. The formula works, the components did not. I think Deonna being on commentary to talk about herself would work, a la Tessa when she debuted. It didn't take away from the match. The reason was they still talked about the match. Now, they did in this case, for the most part, but you obviously knew that she was the focus. Instead of masking it as she's out there for her friend and she's the focus. I don't know. I just wish there was a nice balance. I think it hurts the cause when the person you're interviewing or trying to on commentary says like 3 words at a time. They're all generic. And she's supposed to be low key and you don't know where I was, the arm bar. And then she's healed. Then she's so I get that it was wonky. So the execution was wonky, but the formula and I think it was passable overall. I don't think I thought this was a good show, except that was a little weird for me. But other than that, I pretty much enjoyed it. I thought the inspiration and Tennille thing works beautifully. That was a funny segment. Tennille being back and then confused that there's an inspiration, or excuse me, yeah, that there's an inspiration, that they're Australian as well, and they see each other, and you think it's gonna be a fight, and you pay attention to Madison. I think it's really interesting that these three Aussies are buddy right from the get, and Madison looks, you know, obviously she's had her beef with them over while Tennille's been gone, but I think there could be something to that. I don't think the beautiful people are coming back, but you never say never, right? So really interesting stuff there. I love that, because the same goes for the Drama King when he does his little backstage thing, or as Max said, the first segment opening the show, the out front ring. It just feels like they're utilizing a lot of different parts of the show, segments of the show, for a lot of different. It's a variety show, and I like that. And there used to be a form of Impact, maybe when the weird years there, or when Anthem just took over, right there, where it was like a variety show, but not in the good way, meaning it was like from this dark indie here, this dark indie here. I think this is a nice blend of giving you comedy, entertainment, all that at once. With that being said, I am ready for Hard to Kill, because I'm ready for them to be in Dallas. I think it's nice to see when they do the pan out shot that there's a much bigger crowd past just the sides there. But I would love to see this kind of variety show, this kind of entertainment on all facets in front of a much larger crowd. Much larger.
I'm trying to figure out how many shows did they film here? Like, how many episodes?
They'll be 4? Done on the 8th. Like literally when, or excuse me, is it the 8th? Hard to Kill will be the beginning of their new cycle.
Okay, so this past one was the last. Or so the 8th. Sorry,
right?
The 8th is the last.
Is there one more taping, Craig? Do you know?
No, I think it's be finished by IPWF. There'll be 2 weeks of best of, and then Hard to Kill. Maybe they'll do one, but I can't really see it. But
holidays, duh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Bound for Glory. Okay, and now these tapings, I just want to make sure, happened after the. This wasn't from Bound for Glory. This was
Turning Point.
Turning Point's tapings. And when was Turning Point? Was it a month ago? So was it 4 tapings?
It was about 2 weeks ago.
Well, while you guys are looking that up, I'm going to continue on a few notes that I had here. Obviously, I want bigger crowds. I think the talent deserves it. The backstage, the creative deserve it. The people who run that place deserve it. It's too good of a product no longer to be. So I want to make a mention of that. The other thing, Jonah, what a fucking get Jonah is. I don't, he's obviously going for the world title, to answer your question. I mean, he said it straight up, like, I appeared strong to challenge Moose, and now I'm going after the world title.
Do you think they'll hot shot him right to that, though?
I mean, he destroyed Jay Vidal. I think they'll give him Samoa Joe like push. Where that ends, I don't know. I don't know. I hope not, because that would mean it's probably short term. But with the New Japan connection, I think it's long term. The reason I keep thinking that is, he said in an interview prior, when he knew he was going to one place, he said, "Oh, it's looking like 2. Definitely 1, but yeah, definitely looking like 2 now." And I would take that as, personally, Impact then New Japan, but because of the visa. But I don't know. I don't know what that entailed. What he had announced. He announced New Japan first, obviously. But I'm not gonna lie and say I know visas. But either way, I'm excited that he's there. EY is so damn good that everything they're doing with the camera work and all the different stuff they try out with this group on promos is phenomenal. Everything about it, I dig it. I said this a couple weeks ago, so if you're new to the show, I'll say it again, and if you're not, I hope you bear with me, but I'll try to make it short. EY, when he first came to there, is my jam. TNA. From Team Canada, Showtime Eric Young, blonde hair, Don't Fire Eric after that, Super Eric to a lesser extent. Like, all that funny, fun time Eric is great. That's who I always think of. Then he tried World Elite, and it was like, nah, he's still that other Eric Young, right? Fast forward, he's World Class Maniac. Start to believe him, but he's still that Eric Young to me. This Eric Young is who I think Eric Young's supposed to be. This comes first now in my thoughts before I think of Showtime Eric Young. So I think he's killing it with this. I think this is the resurrection of his. I mean, not resurrection. He's been in a great place, but I can't get over how much he's changed my mind in the past few years.
This is what he should have been in the WWE, and they just. Well, in NXT it was, and then they just kind of lost it. So he kind of had it there and then just continued it. So it was the 20th. So I'm trying to look to see like how long they're at each location, because I would really like them to eventually get to the point where they're moving enough to maybe where they do 2 tapings. So like one and then another and then go to something else. Because like you said, it is interesting to see when they go to a new location, one, to see what the setup is. Is it larger? What's the crowd like? Because hopefully as you move, you get new people in there. Because there's something for me about seeing the same dudes over and over in the crowd. And you're just like, okay, I can tell it's the same people.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think they're getting the Twitch specials back to being live. We got our pay-per-views for a year, whatever. Now we're getting tapings every 2 to 3 weeks, it seems like, or somewhere at 3 weeks.
I think if they get there, I think that's smart.
If they could get to 2 weeks, then they get to a live one and then a taped one, a live one, then a taped one. I think they would be in a good place. It seems that, who's that, AO that said that, according to the YT guy, YouTube guy, they're going...
Okay, yeah, 2 weeks ago, 2-day tapings.
They're going to Fort Lauderdale, Florida after Dallas. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that I'm happy with. But no, I mean, I am interested with Jonah. I like his look. I'm interested to see, though, like, do they send him right against Moose? Because I feel like he's one of those people that you could build for a while.
I'm just saying that he said world title's his goal.
That's what I'm saying. But I know I'm saying he said. I'm just wondering if they... Like, if him saying that, is that their goal, would say, hey, let's get him into a quick title shot, and then he's going to go do New Japan and then maybe come back? Or is it going to be like, hey, this is his goal, but we're going to push him? You know, it's always interesting to see where they push people and how they decide to use him. Is it a slow build?
Well, we'll find out.
Is it Crimson, where they talk about his undefeated and he loses? Well, I'm just saying, like, is it undefeated, loses, and then nothing? Like, which is always... So it's always interesting for me to see when you get somebody new how that build goes. So.
All right, let's keep this rolling. I'm moving on to something that's happening as we speak. NWA Hard Times 2 is currently taking place, and on that card we have Mickie James defending the Knockouts Championship against Kiera Hogan. And speaking of the Knockouts, it's also been rumored that Gail Kim will be emerging as a new authority figure for the Knockouts division. How are we feeling this NWA partnership? Is it boosting, and is the Gail Kim authority figure a right move, Jeff?
I'll make it short and sweet because we kind of blambled on that one. Forgive us if we go a little over, guys, today, but NWA partnership, I'll make it pretty simple. What it does for me and what it does for the company. What it does for Impact is it fixes some, it rebuilds a bridge. Slowly but surely they're winning back fan bases. I think the NWA fan base was probably Impact haters. Not just Impact haters, but NWA fans, but they probably most likely hated Impact. So being a part of that and letting them dip their toes in, and I know we'll get it to GCW in a second at number 4, but we need to start winning over these people so the crowds can get bigger. And all of this plays hand in hand, right? What we just talked about and what we're about to talk about going forward on the show. We just... I'll save that for the GCW thing. I'll save it for GCW. But when it comes to the partnership, what it does for me, it doesn't do much. I really don't. I care about the actual titles. because they have history. I care about the lineage. I care about the name value. I would love if we had a second show and it was NWA TNA. I think that would be dope. But let's call a spade a spade. That show has nobody on there except maybe 3 that anyone would really care about. I mean, maybe there's more, and I don't mean that any disrespect. I just mean that if they were to close down tomorrow, who are the folk that people say, oh, that guy, oh my God, look at this person's a free agent? I don't know. And that's just the business model they have. It's not a shitting on them. They're not saying they're the old NWA. But I just think when we're talking about what it does for the company or what it does for me, it doesn't do much. But anything you can do to spark up interest without having to do much on your end, take it.
Thanks.
So I'm trying to look through to see who's on their roster, and I can't find anybody. Like, they don't have a roster.
Very.
I mean, from what it looks like people may just be per appearance. I don't know if they have very many officially signed people, but I could be wrong. But I kind of agree with Jeff in terms of the Mickie James versus Kiera Hogan. I mean, it's almost like we could have had that match in Impact, but somebody wants to go wrestle on
the
AEW Dark, AEW the Ocho, and never be seen again. But hey, to each their own. Everybody makes their own decision. So I kind of agree with you. I think it's so I'll talk about the Monday Night Wars. They talk a lot about on the Monday Night Wars. One of the things that they realized was you had WCW fans and you had WWE fans. They didn't overlap a lot. You were what you were. And I kind of feel like that could be the case with NWA. Obviously, your hardcore WWE fans, hardcore AEW fans are going to look at Impact, NWA, probably Ring of Honor, and say, those guys are the minor leagues. I'm not watching them because they don't have the big production values. But there are people out there who like ROH, NWA, who are okay with the production value being a little bit less and just, I like the wrestling. And I agree with you that if you can reach out, connect with those people, and get them to come back and give Impact a shot, it is a good thing. Are you ever going to be right there with AEW and WWE? No, but you don't have to be. You can be, we've talked about it before, you can be ECW as long as you run it correctly, and that's fine. If ECW was run correctly, they could have survived. They weren't. So and I completely agree with you there. In terms of what it gets us, I kind of agree with I don't know who they have. Their women's division is good. They have some good women's wrestlers, so bringing them over may be a really good thing. I think they have some women's tag teams, which would be great to add to the Knockouts tag team division, just because any type of tag teams that you can stick together, especially if they have history, just help bolster your division. So I think that'll be good. But for their men's division, I mean, outside of Mickie James, who you don't like, who I think a lot of people kind of feel is kind of I don't know who they have that Impact would be like, man, we've got to get that guy. This would be a big signing. So I think it'll help. I agree with you. I think it'll help grow viewership. I think it'll help the Knockouts division. But for the men-wise, not a huge deal there. And Gail Kim as an authority figure, I think that's great. I like authority figures when they're not when there's not huge storylines built around them. When it's just hey, I'm the person in charge. Hi. I like having an authority figure that people can go to from time to time and say, hey, I want to make a match. Because I've always found it a little bit weird that people are like, you know what? I'm wrestling you tomorrow.
Right.
What? You don't no one in the UFC is like, bro, we're doing this. Okay, I guess so. We're putting you in the next pay-per-view, whatever. There's always somebody above who makes those decisions. So I like having someone that kind of is over the knockouts. That it's not like built into a story.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it just sparked my something I had written down here, but about Scott D'Amore in this last episode. As much as we may dislike or laugh at all the segments he's in, it felt like they're intentionally doing it to make him look overwhelmed. All the knockouts are bothering him. They all want the Ultimate X. They all, all of these things. When is Scott going to finally say, what the I need help? Scott, or, Don leaving in storyline. I don't know if he actually, they'll pull that card. But hey, I have a lot of work. I need some help. Gail Kim would be perfect for the knockouts. I think it also breaks up that monotony of too much Scott D'Amore. Because I love Scott on camera, but I don't want it to be watered down or diluted because, of oversaturation, essentially. So I think her being out there helps. And as we said before, if they're going to take these world championships, the knockouts and the men's world championship, what would you call it? Heavyweight? No, it's the world championship. And then the world knockout championship.
It's the Impact World Heavyweight Championship and the Knockout.
Oh, they're heavyweight. Okay.
Or the knockout. Yeah, or the knockouts. Yeah.
Semantics.
I don't know.
Anyways, if we're gonna present them as such, Moose.
Yep. Impact World Champion, Impact Knockouts World Champion. That's their official titles on the website.
So if that's the case, and we're going to treat them as equals, which they should be, and I really feel like we're getting to that because the Knockouts division is just as important as it was back in the day, and that's pretty dope, and it's only going to get better. Then you have to say that we're going to present them both as champions. Sometimes that means Mickey's going to have the opening segment. Sometimes that means Moose is going to have it. So I like this because it breaks up the monotony of having just that, as you said, even though it's better to have an authority figure, I feel like to have too much of one is not as good. So to have two that give you a little difference and keep Gail on camera. I mean, Gail's is an icon, obviously, in women's wrestling. And then on top of that, she's a legend and a Hall of Famer for Impact. So
the Pope is in NWA. That's who we're bringing. That's who we're signing up to get is the Pope, so that money can rain from the sky. Everybody thinks it's Okada, and then the Pope comes.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it on to number 3. Try and keep this as short as we can, because I imagine 4 and 5 might take a bit more time. But they're back. The ratings, the TV ratings, are reportedly up. I don't know the particulars because it's not something I tend to pay attention to. But good, bad, indifferent, max on the TV ratings.
I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, the ratings, they are what they are. It's a horribly inaccurate system. I would love to know, and I don't, like, when I was watching through Sling TV, did that go into the ratings? I'm obviously not a Nelson, but do they have that? So stuff like that, like, it's horribly inaccurate. There's other ways to watch beside that we've talked about. Doesn't go into it. Is it nice that they're going up? Sure. The only thing that matters to me is Access happy with, or is Anthem happy with the numbers Impact is doing? If they are, and I don't care if there's 6 people watching, if they're like, yes, this is what we want, good for them. If they want the ratings, if they're like, we wish the ratings aren't where we want them to be, then I want to see them, like, that to me is all that matters, is what does Anthem think of these ratings?
Yeah. As Deanna said on commentary, I'd rather die than talk about. She didn't say talk about ratings, but that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to make this short and sweet as well. We obviously go into it all the time. Here's the way I look at it is just like I'll tell you to go out and vote. I'm going to tell you that this system here is broken. There's no voting here. They don't know who's watching what. No one's going to a poll. It's 38,000 households in America. Okay. Then what they do is the demographic. And then you take and say, okay, well, population in general in the United States is 12% African American. So as long as we get those boxes in 12% of African Americans' homes, that is a tick of what people watch. That's how they do it. It is broken down to a mini America, essentially, of all different nationalities and ethnic and income-based backgrounds as well. And there you are. Does it represent the whole country? No. Because what you're coming into is, if a elderly white family in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Max, has a box, a Nielsen box, what are they watching? Now you can say, well, what about AEW? They get it's all about where them boxes are. If you live with your family or your grandparents, odds are the demographic is going to be a lot younger.
I'm going to let you know, anytime I go over to my mom's and my dad's house, there's one of like 5 shows on. It's either Gunsmoke reruns, Naked and Afraid, Ice Road Truckers, Alaskan Bush People, or something to do with like that buying houses. That's the only things they watch. That's it. So when apparently Gunsmoke is getting 20,000 more people watching it, because that's my mom is like, like when I was like, Mom, you should switch to Hulu. She's like, well, can I get Gunsmoke? I'm like, technically, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's all. Like that's all they care about.
The bot.
If I still live there, we'd be doing good because they don't get access, but like that's. Yeah, like
point being,
it's whatever.
It's an outdated system. Here's the way to easily explain it. When I say 38,000 households doesn't take the measurement, it was outdated. People say it works. Okay. If the sorry, I got mentally distracted. If there were, when it was invented, I think 1950 or 60 something, how many channels were there? What was the formula? How many? 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. Okay. So Nielsen ratings were invented in a time that had the variable in one thing, and now 20, 40, 50, whatever years later are multiplying drastically. So it just doesn't, there's many different variables that they just haven't fixed or changed to make me give a shit about this. Especially when as Max said, our parent company is happy with us. That's all that matters. And until we get on a station like TNT, then I don't want to talk about ratings. Because what we have, you could mix around the data and you could say, well, Impact had this amount, but if you multiply it by this and the reach, who gives a shit? It's not the same because the variables are not the same. I can't go flick through my channel or through my channels and find Access TV on a basic cable package. Until I can do that, we can't talk about comparison or if these matter. Because right now they don't. And for anyone who says, oh, this is what companies look at, execs in Hollywood and TV execs, yes. If you are moving from station to station as a created commodity, already pre-created commodity, sure, maybe they do take that into consideration. But we're in a different age. They take in other things consideration. You have other numbers elsewhere. They have ticks and website hits.
I would love to know what Sesame Street does in the demo. What is its 18 to 45 demographic?
Right.
Do you think people are, when like Barney and Friends, they're like, you know what, man, we got to cancel Barney. It's not hitting that 18 to 45 demo. Because unfortunately, like there's other things out there. It's just, to me, I think there's more to it than just the demo.
There are. And it's just another thing, a dick measuring contest that people look at each week so they can yell at each other online.
I just wish Impact never agreed to release their ratings, because it's a conversation that shouldn't be happening.
Who cares?
It's where fans enjoy it. If you're a fan,
they're gonna get released no matter what. So that's the problem.
No. If you don't register with Nielsen,
Well,
you don't have to.
That's
Anywho, moving on to a topic I can sum up one word as bollocks, but I'll get your opinion on it. I'm sure you've been aware if you're on Twitter, but past couple of days, beginning of last week to now, seems still raging on a little bit. Some fans are now saying GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, is now the number 3 wrestling show in America, above Impact Wrestling. I believe started with Jeff, so you can kind of kick stuff from this one.
So I don't know, just like the ratings until we talk about it here. I just like this, I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know people still talk about this, that they even think it's close to being accurate. And this isn't biased, as we say on here. We say multiple things, one friend, one fan at a time, of course. But unbiased, transparent, pro wrestling conversation here. So when I say this, I really mean it. I don't dislike GCW. I, as an adult, only have and a father, have only time in my life for one wrestling promotion, and I dedicate that to Impact. Do I dabble and see what everyone's doing and keep up and support pro wrestling? Yes. With that being said, GCW has a niche audience. It works for them, right? For the 1,800 that sell out they're having at Hammerstein Ballroom, kudos. Good for them. We're talking about a promotion from 1999 to 2015 was called Jersey Championship Wrestling, as in New Jersey Championship Wrestling. The history of it, yeah, there are champions that have came through there that are of something, yes. Have they changed it and done a great job of marketing? Yes. Are they respectable in the sense of what they draw? Is it bigger than Impact has had in a bit? Yes. But you're talking about a show that's not even on television. Or a company that's not even on television. Am I wrong? Okay.
No TV.
They have no television, which means their global reach is, besides maybe internet, if you want to look for it. And once again, this isn't an attack on them. I'm answering the question. There is no way in hell that GCW is number 3. That narrative is created by a small group of wrestling people. Be it people who hate Impact, be it people who write the sheets, who want to make a narrative and write off Impact for whatever reason. Look, at the end of the day, I said this when we talked about the NWA partnership, and Max alluded to it as well, or spoke about it as well. We're not going to just steal people's fan bases, and we're not going to also just, we'll open our arms and welcome them, but they're not just going to come over, okay? A lot of wrestling fans, just like sports fans and anything in general, if it seems anything in life now, are sheep. That we're sheep, essentially, in some way, fashion, or form, but I like to say we're loyal sheep. We stay with the herd. We are Impact fans, right? These other people hear the other sheep say, whatever, Impact sucks, we can't like that, that ruins your cred, we're going to hate on you if you like it. How many of those people, sheep, are going to have the balls to say, I like Impact? I'm sorry, I'm not saying we're fucking, Mel Gibson out here with a sword. But at the same time, we stick to ourselves for the most part. We get shit on and we leave ourselves alone. We don't think we're number 2. We don't think we're number 1. In more ways than one, I mean that. But, I don't know. It just, at the end of the day, it's silly. And for the narrative to be that because they have 1,800 fans at Hammerstein or whatever it is. I mean, it's not on TV. I don't know how else I can answer it. Their library is not. I just don't fathom people's.
So, can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I muted myself when I sneezed, but I realized I might not have. So first off, I barely know what GCW is. I'm guessing it's that one that Matt Cardona was champion of against Nick Gage. Super like Extreme Wrestling. Okay. So here's the thing. You are never going to be a mainstream promotion when your primary type of wrestling is super extreme wrestling like that. When you have a championship called the Ultra Violent Championship, like you're not going to get there. Like there's a certain group of people who love that, but it's never going to get on TV because TNT, USA, no one's going to put on TV where every match people are bleeding all over the place. It's too niche of a group. And the thing is this, do I think if Impact went to a 2,000 seat stadium, they could fill it up? Hell yeah, they could. But they've got to think about the fact that we're also filming episodes there for the next 2-3 weeks of episodes. So are people going to come, are 2,000 people going to come back again? Are they going to be engaged? Or does it make more sense for us to film at a smaller studio? That's the thing. Like you said, they have no TV now. They have no TV show. It's just random shows. Like, how many, Jeff, you've been there, VCW. How many people would you say fit inside that Masonic Temple?
200 at the most. I don't know,
300?
3. That's a little pushing it.
Okay, 200 though. They fill that thing up every single time. But they do a show once every 3 months, so people are excited about it. So that's the thing with, like, if they had a weekly show, they're filling that place with 200 people every week. And that's the thing with them is, like, like you said, they don't have a TV deal. It's every once in a while, here's a show, people are excited. This is my only chance to watch them. I can't watch them live. I'll go there. So, I mean, do I think they're number 3? Maybe the number 3 hardcore champion, like wrestling.
No.
I don't know.
I don't want to take anything away from them. They're doing big things. They're selling merch. They're selling that. They're getting noticed.
No, they do what they do. They have a niche there and what they do. They have their fans, but unfortunately, you're only going to get so big until you're on TV. So they are above ROH, though. I'll give them that much.
All right, so now moving on to the 5th and final. Now, I stress that it's only the NXT releases that are now free. But the releases from whatever the third. I don't know how many batch of releases they've done this year, but currently it would stand at I believe Ember Moon, Mia Yim, Katrina Cortez, Trey Baxter, Blake Christian, Scarlett Bordeaux, Oni Lorcan, and Frankie Monet, Ty Valkyrie. As well as
he has released more talent. Like, they've released the second best company in wrestling. If you just signed all their releases, you'd have the second best wrestling promotion in the world.
I mean, over the years, yeah.
Yeah, as well as Jay Lethal and Tony Nese, and I believe the current ROH Pure Champion, I forget his name, apologies, I'm not too familiar with Honor, but all those 3 being part of AEW. How do you see Impact coming into this, Max?
So, I mean, I definitely think there's certain people that Impact is going to target. I think John Morrison and Taya Valkyrie are definitely people that if I'm Impact, I'm targeting because they've been with us before. I think you look at the people who used to be in Impact, have any type of connection. You look to them and possibly consider bringing them back because a lot of them have. You did some really good character development with those guys. As much as I didn't like Killer Kross, like the way he left, he had a really good character. Scarlett had a really good character. You can bring them in and they can pick it right up right there and just continue those characters. So I like that. I think the way I would look at it if I was Impact, I would look at all the releases, whether it's WWE, ROH, anybody that it gets released, and look at your roster and say, where are our holes? And I would first try and plug your holes. Hey, our tag team division is lacking. Okay, was a tag team release? Yes, they were. Okay, let's grab them. Oh, our knockouts division is lacking. Okay, were there any women released? Yes, there were. Once you use that to kind of fill your holes, then you can look at the stars and say, are there any stars that we want to bring in? John Morrison, Killer Kross, yes. Okay, now let's go out and go after those people. I don't think Impact is very smart about the way they add people to their roster. They don't just go out and throw. They're not AEW, who sees every hot name and brings them onto the roster, and now you've got a 15-man tag match because you're just trying to figure out ways to get these people in. They're smart about who they bring in, and when people come in, they get used and they have a place in the show. So if I'm looking at adding people, I'm looking at where are holes, let's add people to fill those, and then look at people with prior Impact connections that we can bring back and kind of pick up where they left off.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would want to mention that Impact and Eagle said Hard to Kill could have 4,300 people if it sells out. So Dallas area people.
As long as it has more than 1,800, I'm going to come on here and, well, not do a dance, but figuratively dance all over people and their shitty opinions.
Now, as far as the free agents, we can sit here and we can, say, oh, I want this person, I want that one, and treat it like that. As long, obviously, first and foremost, hopefully all these people get jobs somewhere along the way. I think there are other options. I know we touched on this beginning with Hakeem's YouTube comments that we read out, but we did bring in a lot of people, and they all still have roles in the company. Or spots on the roster for the most part. So we're executing and bringing in the right people. But we also have to understand that these people are looking for jobs, yes, but also have an opinion and choose where they want to go. In the case of Lethal and Nice and the ROH guy, excuse me for just bundling them up like that, the pure champion. I think when you talk about those three particularly, we're looking at three that don't really rely on gimmick or story or character development. Besides Jay Lethal having a little run with Black Machismo, he's not character driven. That's not his shtick. Same with Tony Nese. It's not his shtick. So they fit there. Good for them. The problem is you have people like Kira and them that do go there, do get a chance, and then if they don't shoot up right away, then they're in the NWA getting to challenge for the Impact title. So, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a shame that we have, yes, these people are getting jobs, but they're not. They're trapped in something they can't really, they thought it was something else, I guess.
That point you just said, that's a really good point I never thought about. That if you come into AEW and you aren't instantly fire, you get pushed down because the next thing that comes in is fire. So that's a really good way to think about it. That if there's no slow build, like,
yeah,
you're there. And if you aren't off running, then you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, and as far as is my point, I'll try to wrap this up, but ties into the free agent thing is, of course, there's going to be people who start to get disappointed with their AEW run. Will they hate AEW? I don't see why they would. They were hired. They had a job that I'm sure it was a great place to work. Unfortunately, they didn't get the push that they thought they would get or deserved, and you let them run out of their contract or you release them, whatever it may be, no hard feelings. I don't think this will make AEW look like a bad guy in any way. I want to make sure that I say that because they're not a bad person for hiring someone, giving them a job, and then realizing, they just don't have what I need. Happens every day. At the same time, Impact is building a reputation for being maybe a turned-around company, a family atmosphere, which I think AEW has a little bit of that family atmosphere as well, as people say. I don't know. I'm not back there, but this feels like a tight-knit locker room that's trying to build something together. So I also don't think they're going to bring in anyone that disrupts that. At the same time, AEW contracts are running up as well. There could be a swing where we get the Lucha Underground couples all back at once. And I mean Killer Kross, Scarlett, Taya and John, and Brian Cage and Melissa.
Yeah.
So all of the...
Yeah, Brian Cage is...
So I think there's a very good chance that we get a big influx of talent very soon. I know there's a lot of people that are still butthurt over the Scarlett and whatever, and Kross leaving. Look, I will say this without digging into that. You don't know both sides. I'm not sticking up for any side, but I will say there's a lot more to a story than just they want out and they hate it here and they're bad people. There's beach ball theory, baby. But with that being said, I think you could have a good crop like that would fill the... I mean, our roster is already stacked, but I think that would put us over the top. Do I see that happening? I don't know. As Max said, yes, we need to fill spots, not just bring people in. But I think Taya obviously can fill a spot. She hasn't gone for that tag yet. That would be cool. Deanna and her have history with the AAA as well. Brian Cage coming back and Melissa as a manager would be dope. And I'd love to have them back. So I think there's a lot of possibilities.
Scarlett swallowing bananas.
Oh, yeah.
That fills a spot there. I don't know what spot that is.
This is a poor transition, but I do want to mention this as well. I would like, if we do need more solid tag teams, period. In the men's, I think they did a good job. I said I wanted to wait to these tapings to see how I kind of feel about the tag team division, but they really did a good job of showing the brands of VBD, the brands of the Soldiers, Bands of Inspiration, DK. There's a lot of... They're doing a good job. The men's is a little bit farther back. So is there a tag team out there that's already created that we can put here? I don't know. AOP, I guess, is still available. Brazongo, but it's kind of thin there. So I think they need to build...
I would love Brazongo.
I think they need to build from within. As far as the knockouts, Taya could pair up with someone. I would like them to bring... What do we know her as? Brittany? Santana Garrett back. I think it's inevitable that Jordan turns. Well, I don't know. Is she too good of a face now that she's doing all these other things and we need to support her journey in the weightlifting thing, which is dope. So that's free press as well. I don't know. But if she does turn heel, I would like, or if she wants to do something on her own, I would like to see Santana Garrett and Rachel team up because I think they could fit in really well together. They have a similar look, similar kind of shtick. I think it could work. But other than that, I mean, I think anyone we get now is a bonus. I'll be happy with them. I think I could go on all day about that. I just think it's about picking and choosing and the people picking and choosing us at the same time. There has to be a perfect, cocktail for them to join. I just think that seeing the things we're doing with Jonah and Josh and Moose and Morrissey, I think we're going to be more of a old TNA thing where we bring in some guys that may be perceived as WWE rejects, which I don't agree with that narrative, and we give them a shot and they succeed. They exceed the expectations. Look at Cardona. I do want to mention that, and this is a segue because it's Craig's last show. Craig has been speaking of he couldn't believe Cardona was going to come here, and this is so great, and he's the blah, 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 blah. I never saw that. I didn't get that side of him, and maybe that's bias or whatever it may be, but to see that from a different perspective and now see him in Impact, killing it. I really think he is. The only thing I don't like is this. I don't want them to throw him down our throat. He's our face guy, because he's not. At the end of the day, we have to. If you're a TNA fan, NWA TNA fan, Impact fan, whatever you are, he's not an Impact guy.
I will say with Cardona, and once again, I don't watch GCW, but I did see some of the stuff he posted online after winning that title, where he came off like super heelish. I thought that was great. I really like him as a heel.
Amazing.
I understand him coming back. What'd you say, Craig?
Amazing. Just
yeah. So I understand like him. I understand people want they want him to cheer for him. So I like that. But I think he'd be a great heel. But I mean, we do need. I mean, right now I kind of think Josh Alexander is our face, but he's. got some of those. So I do. I mean, I think in this you need a face, but I do think that he'll eventually transition to a heel. Hopefully.
I agree, especially with Chelsea. I think the time will come. I think the narrative and the storyline has to be built. I think the partnership is there, and he will become an Impact guy. He's bringing PBR. I firmly believe that they're plugging their podcast and their brand too much on the show for them not to be receiving something in return. I said it on merch. The PBR deal with IPWF seems a little bit. I think Matt's going to be good for the company. I do prefer him as a heel with Chelsea. I think that'll be cool, and I'm okay with him winning the belt. He could be a. I'm trying to think of someone who came out from a different company, won our belt, and we weren't really that upset with because they became a. I don't want to say Anderson because I really never bought into him as champion.
What about Christian?
Because he was free agent on his own, chose to come to us. There's a different. We're talking a released person that's WWE known that came to us, and we weren't mad about him winning. Matt Hardy, I don't know, maybe.
Shamrock?
No, that was like day one.
He's
All right, well,
WWE guy. Come on,
that is a tough one. Well, at TNAIW
Sure.
channel us. It's already 6 minutes over, and I want to give Craig some time to talk about his show and what's coming up and say goodbyes. I do like that as well. I see that in there. LAX would be dope to come back as well. If we can get them, that would be insane. I would like to think that, or I don't want to like to think. I would hope maybe they stick around to at least conquer that. They haven't won the tag titles there yet, right?
No, they haven't done anything.
So no, just come home. Fuck it.
They're just there. They're just teamed up with Jericho and
The
his people.
buttholes, or the inner circle, or whatever. All right, Craig, why don't you sign us off, my friend?
Yeah, so as Jeff alluded to, starting next week, Thursday, will be the debut of Talking Bloody Nonsense. Myself and my new co-host Nixon, we're talking everything from Impact, and we'll throw a little bit of Brit Wrestling in there. If you're interested, come along, say hi. It's a fun time. We'll still maybe making the odd appearance on here for pay-per-views, etc. But new start time, new show, sister show to this one. We hopefully can keep the same amount of nonsense. But I guess until next time, which will be very soon. Goodbye, my friends.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you, Craig. Obviously a pleasure. It's not like we talk every day, but more or less, we're trying to grow and to accommodate, and this I think helps us spread our wings. Especially Craig. Craig's a big boy now, and we're never growing up, so we'll be the two immature nonsense talkers, and you guys will be doing your show. But we'll have more information with that. And as he said, yes, we'll be sticking to our format of Saturday previews of the pay-per-views before they come out live on Twitch. So please subscribe here on Twitch. Hit that button. It takes you 1 second. You'll come here every pre-show exclusive to Twitch, and then we will have a Sunday YouTube show as a review show for the pay-per-view. So hopefully get the ball rolling as soon as possible. Get in with them. Get familiar with them, because they will, I hope, be there for the first, which would be the IPWF one coming up in a couple weeks. And also, guys, look forward to the Non-Sensies making a return. So there'll be a special there, a Non-Sensies award for the holidays. The end-of-year awards are coming back. And if you have any recommendations, hit us up at TNAIW channel. As always, thank you. We love you guys. One friend at a time, one fan at a time. See you next time.
Bye, guys.